Hi, we want to welcome you to the Grand Traverse Resort and Spa's Playmate Genie Ball Machine tutorial. What we're going to do here first is show you the control panel. I'm going to just talk very briefly about each part of this panel, and then we're going to show you on court how each of these controls work. So we're going to start with the shot sequence here, and the shot sequence basically just tells you which balls that you've programmed down below and what order you're going to do them in. So we're going to do ball 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and in that order. If you look to the upper right, you see the direction. The direction is where each one of those balls on the left of the shot sequence, where they're going to go. So we've got 3, 5, 2, 6, 1, and 7. You can see the tennis court above that. So we're going to do forehand, backhand, wider forehand, wider backhand, even wider and even wider. Now, if you look on the left, you see height, speed, spin, and delay for each individual ball. And this is great if you want to program a series of balls into a drill like a forehand, backhand, approach shot. And we're actually going to show you that on the video. The height just controls how high or low each ball is. The speed controls how fast or slow the ball comes out of the machine. The spin controls whether you want backspin, top spin, or no spin on each ball. And the delay is the amount of time in between each ball based on the drill that you've set up. If you look on the left, you see remote and bypass. That switch will either A, if it's turned up to remote, allow you to use a remote. If you click it down, then you can't use the remote and you'll only use the machine. If you look up at 12 o'clock there, you see feed rate, and the feed rate is how fast, not the balls are coming out of the machine, but how fast in between each feed. So if it was at a 9 or 10, it'd be boom, 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 boom. If it was at a 2, it'd be boom, boom, much slower. Directly below that is random shot, and random shot is pretty cool because if you have it off, it's not going to do anything. That shot sequence on the left there is going to stay the same. But if you flick it on, that shot sequence is going to be in random order, so it's going to be a little bit more realistic. And then the random direction is exactly the same. Now the direction of each ball is going to be random based on what you put on those wheels right there. Now, if you look on the right there, you see spread angle. Basically, what spread angle is, if you program the direction to, let's say, be at 2 and 6, and you feel like, gosh, I wish that was wider, you could make it go to 1 and 7, or just turn that knob up, and 2 and 6 will become much wider, and it's a whole lot easier. So what we're going to do next is we're going to show you an on-court tutorial of how this actually works, show you some drills, show you the remote, and how to program the machine, and we hopefully will take your game to the next level. Hi, this is Coach Mick at the Grand Traverse Resort and Spa here to talk to you a little bit about our new Playmate Genie ball machine here. We're very happy to have this machine here. The Genie ball machine is much like our other ball machine, yet it's a little bit more packed full of features. Instead of giving you just a forehand and a backhand and a forehand and a backhand of the same height, same depth, same spin, this machine will give you 7 balls, and you can program each individual ball to do whatever you want it to do. For example, you could go, I want a forehand with top spin, then hit a slice to my backhand, give me a short ball that's low at my feet, and then I'll come to the net and give me a high backhand volley, then a low forehand volley, and then an overhead, and then a lob, and then it'll reprogram it and set it up. You can do it like that, or you can do it as simply as you would our other ball machine, which is also available. A couple things before you get this ball machine going. You're going to have to make sure that you do call the desk and reserve a court and make sure the ball machine is available. And if it is, you can check it out. You will get the remote and you will get this box up at the desk to bring down with you. And you will need to just attach this to the machine with these 2 little screws here, and you'll have to attach this little phone cable which comes out of the machine to the box, and you're pretty much ready to go. We're going to talk about the control unit here in a little bit and how to program that. You may have seen that in the previous video as well, where we try to go over each of the individual controls. Now, one thing you're going to want to make sure of, just to be safe, is make sure you never walk in front of the ball machine. This is not a good place to be standing if the ball machine starts to operate. And so you're going to want to make sure, A, that you stay out of the air of the ball machine. It'll throw balls out at 90 miles an hour, which is very fast. All right. Number 2, make sure if a ball does get jammed up in the machine that you unplug the cord here, turn the ball machine off, and the best thing to do would be to contact the desk and have somebody come down and take care of that for you. Balls do occasionally get jammed in the machine. It's very easy to fix,
but we don't want you sticking your hands inside the machine in case it turns on and there's two very fast spinning wheels in there. Other than that, we're going to talk to you next a little bit about how the control panel works and show you that like we did in the previous video of the control panel, and show you how the balls come out of the machine. All right, now here's a close-up of the control panel. And as you can see, we have our shot sequence, which tells you which ball you want to come out first and so forth. And here we just have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the letter A here. The letter A just means repeat that sequence. So we're going to do ball 1, ball 2, ball 3, ball 4, ball 5, and ball 6, and then repeat. So we're not going to do ball number 7 in this example here. We have our feed rate, which is going to make sure that it sets at a frequency which balls are pitched, so if you turn it up, they get thrown a lot faster. If you turn it down, they get thrown a lot slower. You have your directional controls, all right, which is per ball 2. So ball 1 is going to go to area, it looks like area 3 here, and you can see there's a little tennis court here, and that's exactly where the balls are going to be fed. So we have 3, 5, 2, 6, 1, 7, and then repeat. So what that means is the ball is going to be fed to forehand close to the middle of the court, then a backhand close to the middle, then 2, which is a little bit wider, then 5, a little bit wider, then 1, much wider, and 7, much wider there. And then it's going to repeat. So ball 1 is going to go to 3, ball 2 is going to go to 5, ball 3 is going to go to area 2, and so forth. So it's forehand, backhand, wider, 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 reset. All right, now if you feel like these aren't wide enough, you can just turn this spread angle up, and what this does, it'll make all those a little bit wider. All right, if we come back here, here's our remote switch here, which we showed you earlier. And if you don't want to use the remote, you just hit the bypass. Most of you are going to want to use the remote, and you can keep the remote right in your pocket. And then we have the random shot and the random directions here. Remember, the random shot, when it's on like this, it puts the shots at random. When it's down like this, it puts these shots in sequence. Same thing with the random direction. The way this works is that when it's up like this, the direction's at random, and when it's like this, the direction is in that sequence. So one thing you might want to do is if you're doing something real simple, like just a forehand and a backhand, you might get real used to just going forehand, backhand, forehand, backhand. So if you turn both of these random shots on, now it'll go forehand and backhand still, but it may give you 2 forehands, then 3 backhands, and 1 forehand, then 2 backhands, and 5 forehands. It'll mix it up, so it's not quite a rhythm, and it's a little bit more realistic. As you can see, we've got our height, speed, spin, and delay for each shot here, and you can just maneuver these buttons, and you're gonna have to play with these a little bit until you get the right height for each ball that you want, the right speed for each ball that you want, the right spin, and then the time in between balls. Okay, now one thing that you have to remember here is that when you program a ball to go, let's say you want the ball to go deeper in the court, you might want to make sure the height's a little bit higher, but then you're going to want to turn your speed down a little bit. When you turn the speed up, you usually will end up turning the height down, because if you got a high ball going real fast, what's going to happen is that the balls are going to end up going in the back curtain over there. We may even show you that in a little bit. So you're going to want to make sure that these two controls here, you're probably going to adjust the most. The spin is whatever you like. If you want to have a heavy topspin, you turn that up. If you want a slice ball, you turn that down, or somewhere in the middle. I used to keep it around 1, because most people's shots have like a moderate spin to them, so that's an easy way to do that. So that's the control panel right there. Now what we want to show you next is what would happen based on how we set these up, and show you the balls coming out and how we can correct it or adjust that. All right, we're going to show you a little bit how this works and controlling the ball with the control panel here. And what I've basically done is just set up a forehand and a backhand. So in the shot sequence, I've got 1 and 2, then the letter A, which means after the second shot, just repeat 1 and 2. On the direction, I've got 3 and 5, which if you remember is just a forehand and a backhand, not very far from the middle. So I'm going to use the remote control here, which is a great device to use. You put this in your pocket, you turn this on. Let's take a look at the feeds here. So here's the first one. All right, not so hot. All right, let's go over here. So it looks like the ball to my forehand is too hard, and the ball to my backhand, I'm going to hit the remote here, is too soft. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the speed down on the forehand here, and maybe turn the speed up a little bit on the backhand here. Let's see what happens here. All right, that's a little bit better. Still looks a little soft there on the forehand. Let's take a look at the backhand. All right, so those now are a little bit short. So I can either A, turn the height up a little bit if I'm more of a beginning player, because that's going to get the ball deeper to me, but it's still going to be pretty slow. Looks something like this. All right, there we go. So now it got back there. That was good. And then we're going to go to the backhand here. That looks pretty good right there. Now, let's say I wanted a little bit more speed, though. I didn't want that soft ball. So I'm going to turn the speed up. I want a faster ball. So I'm going to turn the speed way up here, or not way up, but just to like number 6. Let's take a look at what happens here. Uh-oh, now it's going way too far. So you see when you turn the speed up, same thing on the backhand here, that's going to go too far. What I'm going to have to do is usually when you increase your speed, you're going to have to turn the height down. So let's turn the height down to about 3 here and take a look at this one here. Let's see how that looks. All right. That's pretty good. It might have to be just a little bit lower. All right, number 2 looks pretty good, but ball 1 maybe just a little bit lower. Let's try it again. And this should be about right. So now it's going to go forehand, and it's going to go backhand. It should anyway. There you go. And then I can just repeat that over and over. Now if I turn the feed rate up here, you'll see where it's going to feed a lot faster now. That's real fast. And at about a 4 here, let's see where a 4 is here. That's about, that's probably about right. Somewhere in there to give you a little bit of time. All right, so you can adjust these controls. Now let's say you didn't want to do just forehand and backhand. We're going to do a random shot. We're going to turn that on. And we're going to do random direction. We're going to turn that on. And now you can see we're going to get those same exact 2 shots, but they're going to be wherever the ball machine decides they're going to be fed. So let's take a look. So we're going to go forehand there. That looks pretty good. And a backhand. That looks good. Then it's going to go forehand again. And then backhand. Looks like it just wants to go back and forth here a little bit. There it goes. Now it threw in another forehand. Kind of mix that up. And then another forehand. And then finally a backhand. So it just mixes that up a little bit, and a second backhand there, just to kind of make it a little bit more realistic. And then once again, I'm going to push the remote here. If you feel like those balls are not wide enough, you can turn up the angle spread, and you can see here, it was up pretty high to begin with, but it's going to feed them maybe a little bit wider than what it was. And if that's not a wide enough angle for you, what you can just do is say, hey, on the direction, instead of 3 and 5, let's make it a 2 and a 6. All right, I'm going to turn the angle spread down a little bit. Now watch how much wider this goes, because I changed it to the 2, which is by the single sideline over here, and the 6, which is by the single sideline on the other side. And you want to use this tennis court as a reference above the direction. So now let's take a look at that. So that goes a lot wider over there. So it looks like you're going to be doing a lot more running, which is a good thing when it comes to playing tennis, hopefully. And the random direction is still on, so it's going to do whatever it wants. So if you're going to feed them this wide and you have that random direction on, you may want to just make sure you have a little bit more time in between feeds, because it may throw you off a little bit and it's not going to be in sequence. Okay, now next we're going to take a look at how to program 7 balls and give yourself one heck of a workout. Okay, so now I programmed the ball machine here to do a sequence of shots, and what it's going to do is it's going to feed a forehand, then a backhand ground stroke, and it's going to feed a short ball or an approach shot to your forehand. Then it's going to give you a backhand volley fairly low, a lower forehand volley, and then it's going to lob over to the backhand side over there, and then it's going to reset. Now on the delay here on the bottom, I usually turn down all of those down to 0 and use the feed rate, except for the very first one. When you turn the first one up, and this is a little tricky, that when the last ball is fed, the first ball has a big delay. You might think to turn the delay up on the last ball before the first ball, but if you turn the delay up on number 1, that'll give you time to reset and get back in position for the next shot. So let's take a look at it here. So we got a forehand ground stroke there, then a backhand ground stroke, looks pretty good. All right, then a short softball and approach shot to your forehand, then a low ball to your backhand as a volley, a low ball to your forehand volley. Then it's going to throw you up a lob over the backhand side, and now you can see it waits a little bit, because after you've run around for a little bit and you're a little bit tired, then it starts all over. I don't even think that was long enough. So I'm going to turn this up even more to give you a little time to rest there. Let's take a look. Here's your approach shot again. And then we've got a low backhand volley. And it looks like a low forehand volley, very low, tough. All right, make sure you stay balanced on those. And then the lob to the backhand side. Now I turn the delay up on ball number one, and as you can see, it gives you a little bit more time to get back in position and take a break. But remember, if you ever want to take a break, just take the remote out of your pocket and go like this, push the feed button, and then it stops. Now, if you hold the feed button down, because we're in the middle of a sequence right now, if you hold the feed button down, you'll hear it beep twice. That means it resets, so hopefully now it's reset after that beep 3 times. It's going to go back to say, hey, let's go back to the forehand now. I push the button and there we go. So even though we stopped in the middle of a sequence, if you just hold the feed rate button down, it's going to stop. If you don't, let's say I push it right now and you stop right here, all right, and then I start it again, it's just going to give you the backhand volley, then the forehand volley, and then the lob. So make sure that when you do want to stop and do the drill all over again, push the feed button, hold it down, there you go, it's going to reset to the drill. Now, it's ready to go. Now, when you're done with the ball machine, it's going to be very important that you come around to the side over here, turn the machine off, and then unplug the cord before you start picking up balls, because we do not want the ball machine to start feeding balls when you walk in front of it and start picking up. And then also, remember, it is important that you pick up all of the balls. There'll be a hopper provided for you, and not only all the balls that are just in the court, please look behind the curtains and make sure that you pick up all of the balls behind the curtains, and then unplug the cord, wheel the ball machine back over there by the wall, and then you can return the remote control and this control panel to the desk so that they can mark off on the board that you are all set and ready to go. Now, if you have any questions on the ball machine, you can always call one of our tennis pros or call somebody at the desk and they can help you. If you're unsure of how to set up the ball machine to begin with, there will be somebody available at the club to help you bring it out to the court, show you how to plug it in, and hopefully this video will make it a lot easier for you when it comes to challenging the Playmate Genie ball machine. We hope you get a chance to practice and get out there, have a good time, and we hope you take your tennis to the next level. Thank you.